Thanksgiving over. What's up, folks? We live here. We got my man Jody out here in the Midwest, out in Dayton. Happy Thanksgiving, my brother.
Happy Thanksgiving.
My brother. Yeah. Y'all see what I got on? Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what time it is. My boys won for the first time in 4 years on Thanksgiving. We lost in 19 to the Bills, 20 to the Skins, or the Washington football team as they were called, 21 to the Raiders, and we won this year. So, and so happened to be the last year that we won a playoff game. Yes, ma'am. And I might get something else. Yeah, please. Yeah, so, I'm out here to support our workers here, the people that got to work this evening on Thanksgiving. How you feeling over there, Jody?
Hey, man, I'm feeling real good, man. I want to give y'all respect as well, man. The Dallas Cowboys, I said it last week on the TD report, that the Cowboys is the best they have looked in almost, in my opinion, about 25 years. This is the best constructed team that I've seen, where they don't have all those big names on the offensive side of the ball. They just getting it done. They don't need a whole bunch of big names on the side of the ball. They just need to get it done, and that's what they're doing. They're relying on the running game, and that is the best defense they done had since they won the Super Bowl. I said it. That's the best defense they done had since 1995.
Whoa. Jody came hard. He came hard, baby.
That's the best defense since they was led by Ken Norton and Deion Sanders. I think, was Ken Norton on that team? Yeah, he was on that team.
Yes, he was. No. Ken Norton was gone in 95. That was Robert Jones and all them and Deion. Remember Ken Norton jumped ship and went over to
San Francisco. Yeah, he went to the Niners. Yeah, but they had Darren Woodson. They had Kevin Smith. They had Larry Brown. I'm talking about that team.
They had a lot of people on that team. Yes, they did.
And see, Tony, the reason why it sounds so, it's true coming from me, because I'm not even close to being a Cowboy fan, but I'm a fan of the NFL. And when I see good football, when I see good football, I got to represent, man. And right now, I know that they don't have the best record in the NFC. The only team that's better than them, I don't know. I mean, Philly, because they beat them. But is Philly really better than Dallas?
Hey, that's going to be found out on Christmas Eve, baby. Christmas Eve. We got Dave on the show. What's up, Dave?
What's up, Dave?
Thanks, Jody. Thanks, Tony. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We're going to lead you. Well, obviously, the late game is on. So that's Minnesota and New England going on right now.
7-7.
What's that?
It's 7-7.
7-7 already. Okay. So we've had a great day of football. Hopefully for both of you guys and everybody, all of our viewers and listeners, hopefully a great day of family. Get around the people that love you, that you love, that you care about, and break bread and enjoy each other and be thankful for one another and all the things that we do have. We've got great things in our life. So everyone's going to have something to be thankful for today. Tony, we got to talk about Jerry. Jerry Jones, owner of the Dallas Cowboys, has had some pictures resurface of his time as a youth back in Arkansas, back in Little Rock, where he was present at what appears to be in the picture a confrontation between white students and black students attempting to desegregate Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas. We're talking about history here, 1957, the Little Rock 9. Okay, 9 kids were given court permission to enter a formerly segregated school in Little Rock, Arkansas. There was resistance to this, and in the picture, future Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones was seen in the picture. He was 14 years old at the time. So it strikes an interesting question here. We just had Kyrie Irving today, before his game, asked the question about Thanksgiving. And we all know
I'm on my show.
Yeah. Hey, we all know that Kyrie Irving his mother was a Lakota Indian. She is an actual Indian, a member of the tribe, which
Right.
makes Kyrie Irving an Indian. Okay.
Right.
Asking an Indian American about Thanksgiving it's pretty obtuse. Okay. So he just had to answer that question today. He was obviously comfortable with the question because the way he answered it politely and moved on. But some people are upset with the answer. We know that Kyrie Irving has had previous issues with the screenshot of the video that he posted and was suspended by the NBA for a minimum of 5 games. And then after there was obviously a firestorm. Getting back to Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones and his relationship and his response and his hiring practice with regards to race has not been very good. So this photo from 1957 popping up has dredged up a lot of these issues over again. Now, Tony, we're not going to cancel Jerry Jones, right? Like we tried to do Kyrie. We're not going to do that, right?
Hey, man. It's like somebody posting a picture of Jeffrey Dahmer's movie. Are they supportive of that movie? Are they supporting everything that he did? I mean, think
Of course
about
not.
it.
Of course not.
Okay. So we're going to get on Kyrie. We should be getting on Jerry. We should be getting on all you folks who posted how good the Dahmer movie was when it's despicable what he did.
Well, and the people that were dressing up the child as Jeffrey Dahmer, y'all need to stop that. Jody.
But they're going to get on Kyrie.
They're going to get on Kyrie. Well, Jody, what do you think about this initially? What Jerry Jones did, he was 14 years old at the time. And for all we know, he could have just been standing there. And I'm not trying to carry water for Jerry. All I can see is the picture. I don't have any background in the picture. Who did what, who said what at the time. Again, that's 1957.
That's my guy right there. What's going on?
Hey, Devin.
What's up, brother?
Well, you know what? Hold on, let me turn my screen for this.
Yes. We gotta make Cody happy.
What up, man?
So Dave, this is what I'm gonna say. Okay, 14 years old. I've seen people that did crimes that had to go and serve life sentences for 14-year-old things. I've seen people make mistakes at 14 years old that they have not yet been able to overcome. African Americans, to say the least, have made mistakes at 14 and they got tried as adults. So I'm gonna say it like this. Jerry Jones, even if he didn't say nothing, he wasn't a part of the solution. I didn't see him trying to stop it. And the reason why I take it a little step further is every one of his constituents that are owners, there's no minority owners.
There's one minority owner. There's an Indian American owner. I think
there's an Indian American owner. Okay,
in Jacksonville.
There's no African American owners. Let me rephrase that. There's no African American owners in the NFL. So with that being said, and we see that he's only hired 2 black coaches ever. He's been around football for almost 30 years. He has 2 black hires. 2 black hires. So my thing is, he also stood against Kaepernick. He told his players that they couldn't take a knee, and we knew what that was about. So it's a lot of facts that's saying that. I'm not saying he's a racist, but it does look as if, how talks happen when we're not around. And when I say we, African Americans are not around, Jerry Jones should not be exempt from anything because we're supposed to see no color. But if that was the case, why hasn't he had a black GM? Why he has never really had entertained any African American coaches? He had an opportunity to interview Eric Bieniemy. He didn't. When they got McCarthy, they did not even try to bring Eric Bieniemy in. Eric Bieniemy is the best assistant coach in all the sports. I said all the sports. I didn't say football. I said all the sports that's African American. as an assistant. So all I gotta say is, Jerry Jones, you got a lot of questions to be answered. If they're gonna make Kyrie answer questions over something that he didn't even say, and other Brett Favre, we ain't talked about him. Jerry Jones, you need to get on the carpet. And if you, at the very least, you owe us an apology. At the very least.
Devin, what do you think about this? Let's bring you in here. You know, I don't know. I can't give you your own opinion. You tell us what you think. What should be done about this Jerry Jones photo that is now resurfaced after many years? Now, Jerry has addressed this previously, but now it has come back up. And then with all of this stuff swirling around about Kyrie Irving, things that Kanye West has said, now you've got something that Jerry Jones was present at back in 1957. You factor that into his dossier on how he's handled coaching hires as far as race. What do you think is next?
Nothing. He's Jerry Jones. Nothing. I mean, he's not.
Yeah.
He's not going to have to worry about that. I mean, unfortunately, he was 14. I'm not good, but he was 14. And I get what Jody's saying, but that was 65 years ago. Maybe he hasn't changed the way he thinks. But again, he's the most prominent owner in the National Football League. He has no worries. That's it for me. He has nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I don't think anything's going to happen. I don't think anything's going to come of this. I don't even think that Roger Goodell will address it. In fact, I think when Roger Goodell is questioned, he is going to protect Jerry as much as humanly possible in terms of what his commitment is to the league, what his commitment is to, for example, the United Way or any other charitable organization that he does. Again, let's compare and contrast this to the handling of Kyrie Irving, who has done in his career a lot in terms of giving money during the pandemic when the WNBA players lost their salaries. He replaced a portion of it and he paid it out of his pocket. Okay. He's given hundreds of thousands of dollars to various causes near and dear to his heart. But again, we're going to see Roger Goodell sit there and tick down every single good thing that Jerry has done. Okay, because that's how you do it. You want to go on the preponderance of evidence of, well, these are what his good works are. Okay, but this other thing over here, the non-hiring of Black assistant coaches and coordinators and head coaches, we're not going to talk about that. Right? Jerry Jones has always kind of circumvented the Rooney Rule anyway. You know, he was one of the first coaches that actually figured out the loophole. And he's been using it every time he's hired a new coach. Jody, talk to me about that. Why is Jerry Jones allowed to do certain things that other owners aren't?
Well, first and foremost, he's kind of like the face of all owners in the NFL. Like, we don't really know a lot. We know about Kraft. We know about, what's my guy in Vegas? The son, Al Davis Jr.
Yeah, Mark Davis.
With Mark Davis, I'm Al Davis Jr. But he's the face of an organization that's probably the most wealthiest organization in all the sports. And Jerry Jones has a bravado that he's able to say whatever he wants. He's able to kind of act the way that he wants. And nobody's going to say anything to him because he's a billionaire. Nobody. Remember the time he was in the press box and he had his assistant wiping his glasses off? Like, come on, man. Like, come on. Like, seriously, man.
It's good to be the king.
It's good to be the king, but in that he that holds the crown has a lot of weight to bear. And he has to come out and say something about what's going on. Like, I mean, at least address us and let us feel as if you had some remorse about what was happening. At least show some sensitivity about it. And then he gets to his coaching. And like I said, Eric Bieniemy been on the market for a long time. Now you got Brian Leftwich. That guy didn't those two coordinators went there? Didn't they win Super Bowls?
Mm-hmm. They did.
They did win Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. When have you ever seen a Caucasian assistant at offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, win a Super Bowl and not have head coaching job? Please, somebody answer that.
That's true.
Honestly, it's almost as automatic, as Steph Curry, from three. You get to this level as an assistant coach, you get this entree to certain jobs. Now, if the worst team in the league wants to hire you and you were just coaching in the Super Bowl as an assistant, it's your prerogative not to take that lower job, right? Maybe you don't want to work with this particular franchise or this particular owner. That's your prerogative, but you will get the offers. Eric Bieniemy, as far as I can recall, has not been offered a head coaching job yet.
No. Is that right, there?
Neither has Byron Leftwich.
Mm-mm.
Right?
What about D'Amico? What's my guy in San Francisco, defense coordinator?
D'Amico Ryans.
D'Amico Ryans. What about him?
He's coming.
It's got to be. I mean, his defense is absolutely incredible. Let's talk about Raheem Morris. Okay. Jalen Ramsey of the Rams just gave an impassioned endorsement of how good Raheem Morris is as far as teaching Jalen Ramsey something that he didn't know. It's really hard to teach Jalen Ramsey something he didn't know, for him to know that he didn't know it. Right. Okay. And explaining concepts to him and why we do this and why we do that. This is why we have Devin on the show. That coaching angle, that understanding of concepts. Hey, David, Devin will get me on the back line and hit me on my text. Hey, man, you can't run that route. This route, you got to run a flat route here. If you run a vertical route, your quarterback's getting sacked because of the protection wasn't there. The protection's not there. The quarterback knows it. He's got to go to the flat route or the hot read, and that's it. I was like, oh, okay. But that's the coaching. That's the piece behind it. If Raheem Morris has the endorsement of a veteran like a Jalen Ramsey, shouldn't he be getting more love?
Didn't he coach a Super Bowl winning defense? I'm just curious.
He did.
That's three coordinators.
It's crazy because Kevin O'Connell was the OC and he didn't even call plays and he got the Minnesota job. So that goes to show you.
And that's the knock. That is the knock against Eric Bieniemy. He doesn't call the plays.
No, he doesn't.
So
right.
What about Zach Taylor? He was only the quarterbacks coach for the Rams. He didn't call the play. Did Zach?
Usually,
help me out. Zach Taylor call the play.
It's the Sean McVay thing. He's had such a great start that they're trying to find that next piece. Like, okay, look at what McVay did in his first chance, and look at the guys. We need to get the guys under him because they got his tools. Let's go get these guys.
This is not me taking anything away from a Kevin O'Connell or a Sean McVay. I don't want to take nothing away from those guys, okay? But I just want to see. I want to see a level playing field here. And this is what we've been talking about since Ray Rhodes was a coach, since Dennis Green was a coach. May he rest in peace. Since those guys were coaching, that first real generation of Black NFL head coaches, what has this next generation gained? You see what I'm saying? That's what I think the next frontier is. Yes, go ahead, Jody.
I'm sorry.
No, fine. Go ahead.
Isn't McVay the McVay tree? Isn't Raheem Morris under McVay?
He is.
Where did he win this? He won his Super. Wait a minute. He won
a Super Bowl with the Rams last year.
With the Rams.
Rams last year.
So he's up under McVay. So why doesn't he have a head coaching job again? I'm just saying.
I'm gonna say that they don't credit him as much because he had Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. They take from him for that, which is unfair. But defense with Von Miller, Aaron Donald, and Jalen Ramsey, they probably looking at it like, was it really him or was it just
it was loaded? They're thinking that it's
just that good. Yeah, they're looking at that, and they're looking at like D'Amico Ryans and Kevin O'Connell were the last two guys for that Minnesota job. And
correct.
Minnesota's GM decided he wanted an analytic-based coach, the new GM out there, which is what Kevin O'Connell does. D'Amico Ryans is more of the old school. I'm going to do it off a field. I'm a coach like Dusty Baker does in baseball. I'm not doing all that.
Yeah, you coach by your gut.
So in a way, it's just a matter of preference. But again, the preference always seems to be the other guy, never the black guy. That seems to be preference.
Well,
Dev. So was it Bill Belichick or was it Lawrence Taylor? Was it Carl Banks? Was it Harry Carson?
right.
It was the thing with Belichick is Parcells never won one without him. He's won 6 without Parcells. So I got to give Belichick more of the it was him.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm just, if you're going to say, I'm not saying you, but if people are going to say it's Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, yeah.
So why was it really Rex Ryan or was it Mike Singletary? Was it Richard Dent?
Oh, Buddy Ryan. You're talking about Buddy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to that.
That's okay. That's all right.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely
those
the
were
85
loaded.
Bears. You know, they were just great defenses. I mean, but
those were loaded defenses. Yeah. So in those days, if your defense was loaded like that, you got that credit. So that's what got him the Browns job, Belichick, and he failed.
Well, quickly with Belichick, he gets the credit for figuring out how to use LT at the height. That's one thing that we can't take from him. He changed the game. He said, okay, you know what? I got this 6'4", 250-pound monster. I'm going to have him put his hand in the dirt. I'm going to stand him up. I'm going to move him around. You're not going to know where he is. And I'm going to send him consistently. There wasn't, as much as I love Parcells, I don't think he does that with him. Belichick is the new rising, coordinator. It's like Monty Kiffin with the old Buccaneers defense. He built his defense on Derek Brooks, Warren Sapp, Simeon Rice, and Rondé Barber. John Lynch, yeah. I mean, but that defense didn't play like that until he put that cover 2 scheme in.
Well, he wanted to basically what he wanted to do was he wanted to dictate to the defense, to the offense, this is what I'm going to let you get.
Yes.
But everything else, if you want more, you're going to have to throw over top of Derek Brooks. I'm going to let Brooks run with your tight end.
Right down the seam.
I'm going to shut and I'm going to shut it off. And if it gets over Brooks, and there were no defenseless receiver rules, John Lynch is going to be there when that ball comes down.
Yeah. So if you throw it short, Rondé Barber's going to pick it off.
Correct. If you throw it under, it's a very similar scheme. It's a very similar scheme in terms of understanding the positioning on the field. Very similar to what, say, for example, Virginia Tech had run for years under Bud Foster, where a team like UVA would want to try to throw over the top, and he would say, that's fine, you can throw over the top, but I'm going to bracket your wide receiver against the boundary, and you're going to have to fit that ball into a milk crate, or else it's an interception or an incompletion, and you can try to throw that all day, and you're not running on me, so now what? So I'm
going to say this real quick, and I know it's probably off subject. Can I say this real quick?
Go ahead.
As much as Deion Sanders isn't maybe trying to leave just yet, the rumor is the schools are using the prime prep failure against him in interviews, as in he didn't, prime prep went under. And I'm saying to myself, so you're throwing that in his face when you have guys like Jimbo Fisher, who left Florida State in a complete rut. Lane Kiffin has done his dirt everywhere he's gone. And you look at Deion, he's got the highest graduation rate in the entire HBCU world right now. The HBCU world, nobody has a higher graduation rate on the football field than him. Nobody.
Excellent.
Nobody. And I don't think he's trying to leave, but he did say in the 60 Minutes interview, I will take interviews. And he did say the HBCU world can't pay my coaches what they're worth. My coaches have outworked their salary, and that's my only reasoning for taking these offers. And if the offer is right, I may have to really think about it because I got to take care of the guys that are taking care of me. I can respect that.
You know what's crazy about that, Dave? Is I don't want to hear anybody talking about hiring practices or what somebody did in the past when the Indianapolis Colts go get Jeff Saturday. I don't give a damn if Jeff Saturday don't win every game. I don't care if he win every game he ever coached. And I want him to be successful.
I like Jeff Saturday, man. I like him.
He almost beat the Eagles. He almost beat the Eagles, guys.
Should have beat the Eagles, yeah.
I want him to be successful. But this is my part. He had an opportunity to come aboard on Indianapolis coach staff several times. He was asked to come to be the offensive line coach. He was asked to be different kind of coaches. He denied every last one of them. He said he had a nice job at ESPN. He said that he had a high school football gig he was doing. But as soon as the head coaching job come about, now you done drop everything to take this job. Now, I don't care about you taking the job. My thing is the way it was done. My thing is you got Reggie Wayne on that staff. You got John, you got Fox on that staff, who's been to 2 Super Bowls.
Gus Bradley.
You got Gus Bradley. You got all these guys with all these experience. And then you hire Jeff Saturday. Now, my thing with Jeff Saturday, if you would have hired him at the beginning of the next season, would have been more understandable. But Indianapolis culture not that far from not making the playoffs, and you make that move mid-season, but then you're going to talk about Deion Sanders, that prep school or whatever school he left failed.
That went in. Yeah, that went under. That's ridiculous.
Come on.
That's ridiculous.
Listen, they're putting this in plain view there. Tony, Dave, they said, look, y'all can't stop us no matter how y'all complain about it. We're going to do it. About to cuss. I'm going to do what we want to do.
Yeah, we don't want problems with the FCC. Yeah,
I'm sorry. I didn't cuss.
That's all right.
But they gonna do what they want to do.
Well, Tony,
Deion Sanders should take the Nebraska job and build that place back up.
South Florida. That's the job he should take.
Because of the recruiting.
You know why I tell you Nebraska? Listen,
Okay.
all that recruiting area stuff is gone. NIL means money. Nobody got money like Nebraska. They got an endowment, they can build, and they got a tradition. He can get those players out there. Jackson State's in the middle of nowhere. So is Nebraska. Go take a Big Ten job and go get the recruits out there and go do what you do. If you're going to go big, go real big. Nebraska is one of the 5 best programs in the history. Go take it and bring the Big Red machine back.
If he don't take the Florida State job, he shouldn't take no job.
Florida State doesn't need him right now. They're ranked what, 19th?
Yeah, Norville doing a good job. He's got a great recruiting class coming in.
He's got them ranked. Yep.
Are they number 1?
Not yet.
Are they number 1? They never will be. Deion Sanders get there, they'll be in the top 5 consistently.
Listen, it takes in football. I think it's to me. It takes 2 recruiting classes. Okay, if you get 2 good recruiting classes in, and then you don't have a ton of injuries, you don't have a lot of guys flunking out, you should have a solid core of players, and you should be able to make a move. So I would look at Florida State. If they're able to be ranked now, I'm impressed. Okay, because the coverage is supposed to be completely there. Okay, and maybe it's not. He's doing a good job coaching. And again, the ACC is a rather weak league for a Power 5. So you can get into the ACC. Really, the only team you got to worry about is what? Clemson?
Okay, if he don't take Florida State, then go take the U.
Oh. I don't know if they would offer. I don't know if Miami would offer him their job.
Miami better offer. They better get somebody down there.
He's an FSU guy. They ain't offering him that job.
They're not going to offer him that job.
But we didn't see worse.
Well, Cristobal's a former coach there. They're gonna give him a handful of years.
They're gonna give him a couple of years.
He'll get some time to figure it out.
And Miami has been kind of adrift for a few years now. So
and as Dave stated, you got to give Cristobal a couple of recruiting classes. He got a dynamite one coming in next year, and he's working on the one for 24 too. So 23 and 24 look good in the recruiting world for him. As long as he gets them guys to stay and develop, Miami will be a top 15 to 20 team the next 2 years probably.
Well, just imagine if Deion Sanders can get the top 2 of the top 6 recruits in the country to go to Jackson State. Just imagine if he got some money behind him.
That's the $1 million question, Jody, is what would happen if Deion Sanders had that? Because let's be honest, what he's doing now at Jackson State, nobody really expected him to do that except probably the 4 guys in this room right now. Okay? For him to go to the HBCUs and do what he's done, the only thing that I have a problem with, I wish he had come to Howard to do it. I wish he had been down here in D.C. because we would have loved him here. Are you kidding? We would have loved having Deion Sanders at Howard. Okay? We haven't had a lot to be thankful for at Howard for a very long time. I mean, like Jason Howard, it's probably the last time I've been excited about Howard football. But if they could if Howard
Jonathan?
could put something out similar to that and bring in that type of personality who can bring with him that type of exposure, that type of
Oh,
excitement.
you did?
Tony, if that could happen at a Howard, if that could happen at a Morgan State, what would that do for football here? Because there's some good players coming out of here.
It will take it to another level because this is a large TV market. And this is a talent-rich area when you include the DMV. Large TV market, talent-rich area. And honestly, we got a lot of basketball players here wasting their time that actually should be playing football. See, like in Jody's area in Ohio, those fools will play football. They're
Darn
not
right.
stuck on basketball.
That's
In
right.
Pennsylvania, they're going to play football. They're not going to be stuck in these basketball dreams. We got a lot of good basketball players here, but Dev will tell you, a lot of them have fallen to that, all that crap on the basketball court and all that AAU crap when they could be wide receivers, tight ends in the NFL.
Quarterbacks.
Pure areas like Jody's area, Ohio, the Georgias, the Pennsylvanias of the world, they understand that to the core. And Deion will have put light on that here. Now, I will say, if Deion come to the ACC, I think the most outrageous place to be, you may not like it, would be somewhere like Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is in the heart of Atlanta, the heart of one of the biggest recruiting bases in this country with a top 10 TV market, with that Georgia Dome there and everything that's there. Kirk Cousins throw a touchdown so I get my money. And I think that would be pretty big for him. And I'm
Georgia
just saying,
Tech.
man,
That's
Georgia
good.
Tech is good because Atlanta has surpassed DC as the number one area for African Americans and African American greatness. That's down in Atlanta. That's down in Black Hollywood, Black Wall Street. Everything now is centered to Atlanta. DC is a has been compared to Atlanta. That place is off the chain, and it's one of the best places in the world to be. Hotlanta. Deion in Hotlanta.
Now, Deion, now, if Georgia Tech made that type of move, that would be incredible. I would be shocked. But if they did it, that would be a game changer. I agree.
Think about it, Dave. If that's beautiful. If he was able to go back to where he started his NFL career at, if you think about it, just about 3 years ago, Dev is big on this. They had two of the best quarterbacks in the country that's now NFL players, NFL starting quarterbacks. They live 10 miles from each other.
Justin Fields, yeah.
Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. So they always producing a hot quarterback. If you think back a few years, they had Cam Newton. They're always going to produce Atlanta, Georgia, or Georgia itself is going to produce a big name quarterback.
Charlie Ward is from Georgia.
And they had Deshaun Watson from down there.
Charlie Ward is from Georgia, and so is Sean Jones, who was at Georgia Tech, won a national championship.
So think about it. That's excellent. That's excellent. That was a good take. If he was to go there and get one of those, he's gonna get one of them quarterbacks.
That kid's father will deliver him right to Deion. And Deion might not even have to drive to the kid's house. Coach be like, "Oh, I heard you was coming, but I just brought him up here."
Think about it. Remember, Deion played for Atlanta. He was doing pumps and the bump videos in Atlanta
and playing baseball too.
And he played for the Braves.
And let's talk about that. That gives baseball a pump. That gives baseball a pump up too. Is the fact that he also played baseball would be great for the major leagues. It takes that to that next level. Hey, kid, you can also play baseball. You know what I'm saying? It makes sense. The two seasons don't overlap, okay? And the baseball season for high school is extremely short, okay? You don't have to do a ton in high school baseball, and the season is over. Season's over very fast. It goes from like March to May is the baseball season in high school. It's not much. So You don't even have to expend that much energy. I think this would be a great move. See, we should be helping Deion get this Georgia Tech job.
Oh, don't worry. I'm gonna be hitting one of their assistant coaches, Flea, who used to be the head coach at Howard. I'm gonna be hitting him up and be like, look, man, y'all need to be open. If y'all really about leaving Jackson State, you got to be smart about it, because you got to go somewhere that has a good endowment. They want to put the money in football, and they can do that NIL on a big level. Because right now, I don't care about how smooth you are as a recruiter. If your words ain't got no money behind it, you just got pretty words. You got to have that NIL money now, folks. Without that, I don't care about your recruiter. There's no such thing as good recruiters no more. It's about NIL, period. And if you think I'm tripping, ask Nick Saban down there why he complaining about NIL.
Hey, by the way, Nick Saban was just up here in the D.C. area. It was at Quince Orchard High School looking at a running back.
Yeah, he was here over the weekend. He was here last week. Yeah. My godson was saying he saw Nick Saban in the parking lot. I said, Nick ain't come up here for no mumbo sauce, bro. He here to work.
Hey,
running back.
How good is that? How good is that running back, Dave? Because if Nick Saban come up here,
he got about 1,700 yards and an offense that is a little bit of everything. Kid can play.
They play Broadneck on Friday night.
Yep, and Wise plays Flowers. Yeah, but
that's the Final Four, right? That's the Final Four. That's the Final Four, but I'm not surprised Nick Saban came into this area because he was smart enough to use Azar from old Friendship Collegiate back in the day to get into this area. He used him to start to get a feel for what he took. Came and got Pettibone from Gonzaga, Terrell Lewis from St. John's, the kid from Unity Reed this year. Jonathan Allen from Stonebridge. He knows what he's doing. It's obviously been up to Baltimore too. He got Cyrus Jones to come down there.
Cyrus Jones, and he got the kid Ayama, the kid the guy from St. Francis. Yeah, he got Chris Braswell from St. Francis.
Where did he get Diggs from? Wasn't Diggs from there?
Avalon out here. Stephon went to Good Counsel. Stephon went to Trayvon went to Avalon.
Trayvon went to Avalon, right?
Yeah, Avalon. Yeah, Trayvon went to Avalon, which is in Montgomery County out that way too. So
he started out at Wooten. He started out at public school.
He did at Wooten. You're right. You're right. So yeah,
it's listen, quiet as kept. Nick Saban has done this so much. If whenever he does retire, he could literally just sell his methods to somebody else and how to do things. He's very organized. He's smart. He's organized, and he is believable. When he talks to you, he ain't lying to you, and you believe him. That makes up that just changes everything as far as taking the doubt out of a kid's mind. Then it's supposed to tell him, hey, Nick Saban, I mean, who else do you want to come up here to see you? You know what I'm saying? I mean, what more do you want? At that point, you're at that Maybach level of car. What's the next car up from that? You know what I'm saying? The guy that comes in is going to be a Pinto. You want to drive a Pinto, and somebody was trying to give you a Maybach? Come on, man.
Nick Saban has won everywhere he done. Has stepped foot at. I mean, he won in Michigan State. He won at LSU. He definitely went into Alabama. Even when he took the pro gig, he didn't do horrible. Like, people thought he did horrible in mine. He really didn't. He was more suited for the college game than he was the pros. And I think he realized that early and got out of that contract as quickly as he could. But I think
there's a power dynamic there when you're working together in the pros. And in the pros, those guys have to let you coach them. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. And if they don't these are grown men. If they don't let you coach them, you can't coach them. Right? College is different. Hey, young man, you want to get to the field is mine. Okay, you got to come through me to get yourself on the field. So give me what I ask for, and I will put you on the field. That's the dynamic in college. That's what it is. Okay, so I don't for quote unquote failing in Miami. I think Nick could have been a very good pro coach, but there's a lot of stuff that you have to do as far as changing your approach to do it.
Right.
Have we talked about the game Saturday? Have y'all talked about that?
Let's do that.
It doesn't get any bigger this weekend for college football. I mean, you know,
Ohio State,
the,
Michigan is the early. That's the game. I'm going to take Ohio State. Tony, who you got?
OH.
Oh,
Okay. Jody, we know what Jody's taking. Devin, who you got?
I got Ohio State. I want to see. Last year after the game, Jim Harbaugh made some comments about you think you created something when you start on third place. You act like you hit a triple play. Talking about Ryan Day came into a situation where stuff was really set up for him, and which is true. Ryan Day came into a great situation, but he still had to produce and win games compared to a situation that Harbaugh came into at Michigan at the time. He had to kind of rebuild the program on the fly and get things back up to par and back up to standard. So I get what he was saying, but the way he said it, it left like a sour taste. Even though you won the game, you were still complaining. Now he's walking those comments back, calling Ryan Day this great coach. I wrote an article on it. It'll be out Saturday morning before the game about it.
Great.
And I'm trying to figure out I don't know if he's trying to clean it up before the game, but I just don't think Michigan can score enough points. Ohio State can score points.
Is Blake Corum going to play?
He's going to play. I heard one of the linemen kind of tilted that. He didn't want them to say it, but the lineman said he was going to play. So I'm pretty sure he'll be there.
I want him to be fully healthy. I think he's a great young player. And
he is a great back. He's a great back.
That game deserves Michigan's best. I don't want to give them any excuses. Hey, Blake Corum was hurt. Blake Corum didn't play. I want to see the young man get out there and play.
Me and Tony got a chance to see Marvin Harrison Jr. live last week. Man, oh man, Tony.
Oh,
Tony. That kid there.
Yeah, genetics is a mug, huh?
and I'm gonna go out on a limb. I know Travion Henderson is the starting running back, but he doesn't have better vision than this kid. This kid Dallin. The vision of this freshman is a little better than Henderson is. His vision is unbelievable. Number 5, that kid, he knew how to set his blocks up. He knew when to go. He knew when to wait. It was like watching poetry in motion. He's a true freshman.
Yeah, he reads his blocks very well. You're right.
Yeah, he does it a little better than Henderson does. As good as Henderson is, this kid is a little bit of a better fit for what Ryan Day wants to do offensively, I believe. And then, it's good to have both and have Mayan Williams too. But that kid, that freshman Dallin, man, oh man, I was impressed with that kid last week. Just 147 yards, I think, after the second quarter. Am I right, Tony? He didn't play till late in the second quarter. Yeah, he had to play till late in the second quarter. Hats off. But I think Ohio State by about 10. I think they're just too offensively gifted, man. Just too talented offensively. So.
Agreed. Hey, gentlemen,
I think
I've got to hop off. Hop off, T.
Okay. We have
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving. We have 2 other big games. We have the USC game versus Notre Dame, and then we have Alabama and Auburn, correct?
Yeah.
All these guys got chances to get in the playoffs. So, hey, man, this is a big weekend setting up for the championship weekend. It's Alabama's last look to get that playoff spot because we don't know what's going to happen on championship Saturday. A lot of things could fall people's way. Tennessee, I think Tennessee's in a trap game against what you think is a weak opponent in Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt plays them hard. And Vanderbilt has a nice little team this year.
They do.
So don't get surprised. They don't have their quarterback. Vanderbilt may knock Tennessee out of it.
They already out.
You're looking at Alabama, Auburn, and USC, Notre Dame, and then USC got to play the championship game. So, man, this is about to get interesting, man. This Final Four is going to get very, very interesting, guys.
I really think that Tennessee is done. I don't think Tennessee has a shot to get in with that second loss. I think if they would have had one loss, I would have understood that. But having that second loss, and in the way they lost, they got dismantled against South Carolina. South Carolina,
and they lost their quarterback.
And they
Yeah, I
lost the
think that
quarterback.
right there. I think the quarterback loss is bigger than anything because now they're going to look at them and go, "There's no reason to put them in the playoffs." They
Right.
don't. They won't even attract the same attention because they don't have their quarterback. Yeah.
You know, me and Tony were talking all in a production meeting about what happens in scenario. These would have happened scenarios because he's saying that if LSU wins the SEC, then LSU is in. I don't know about that because LSU has 2 losses, and even if they win the SEC, if the loser of Ohio State, Michigan would only have 1 loss, and that loss will be to a team in the top 3.
Conference championships mean everything, man.
But I get that. But we got to also take in consideration whoever loses Ohio State Michigan game, which is going to be Michigan. But their argument would be they only got 1 loss, and that potentially could be to the number 1 team in the country because potentially Ohio State could move to number 1 if they got a great enough showing against Michigan, regardless of what Georgia does. They
But
may
they always say it's better to lose early than lose late. And those losses for LSU came first part of the first game of the year, and I think right in the middle against Tennessee about 5 or 6 weeks ago.
But they got thumped by Tennessee.
They did, but they beat Alabama, and if they beat Georgia, that's enough. 2 losses or not, they're getting in. You beat those 2 big dogs in the SEC, you're getting in. You don't have nothing to worry about. And you win the SEC championship, and you beat a Georgia team that hasn't lost since but 1 game in the last 2 years to Alabama, and you're getting in. You're getting in.
So the question is, let's say that does happen. LSU beat Georgia. So is Georgia
out? Probably not unless they get blown out because Georgia has proven they're the best team in college football all year.
So that's where I scratch my head at because if Georgia loses to the number 5 team, but Ohio State beats Michigan, that means they'll be losing to the number 1 team. So what are we doing there?
But Michigan's strength of schedule is going to kill them. Those early wins over people like Hawaii and Colorado State, you can't do that. That's going to kill them in the long run. It's going to kill them.
Now, what about USC? Now, USC, if they got a gauntlet. They got Notre Dame, who is playing a lot better football now. They're 13th in the country. They turn around and they potentially got to play Oregon or Washington in the Pac-12. If they win that game and go 11-1, 12-1, do USC get in?
Yeah, they in. They're in. In other words, they're in. They're in, hands down, they're in.
But the reason why I'm asking you this is because if Ohio State wins, they're in, definitely. You said LSU. If LSU beat them, they're in. Then you got Georgia. Then you got TCU if they're undefeated. So where does that leave USC? That's why I asked you what I asked you.
At the end of the day, if it's all conference if conference champions are all sitting there, 4 conference champions are gone. So 4 conference champions are gone.
That would knock Georgia out then.
Yeah, that would knock Georgia out if all that happens. There's so many things that has to shake out, and I'm gonna tell you this: as crazy as it may sound, this could be the first year you get a 2-loss team in. Could be. At some point, it's going to happen.
If LSU can somehow knock Georgia off, USC can run the table, TCU run the table, and Ohio State. So you telling me Georgia could potentially not make the playoffs?
What can happen? Let me tell you what could happen that's crazy. And I'm an Alabama fan. I'm just doing hypothetical. Alabama lost 2 games by a total of 4 points in the 2 of the most hostile environments in college football. It took everything them teams had on Alabama's not even playing great either day to still beat them. If Alabama blows out Auburn, TCU drops 1, then you have TCU don't win the Big 12. Say USC wins the Pac-12, and say Georgia beats LSU and Ohio State beats Michigan, wins the Big 10. It's crazy, but Alabama could be sitting there fighting for that 4th spot with 2 losses because they're going to take into consideration where they came at and how they came and what happened. And they still went 10-2, and their 2 losses look better than anyone else's. So
let's say Ohio State beat Michigan, and Ohio State only win on the last second field goal, and they win by 1.
Michigan's out. Michigan's strength of schedule again. That strength of schedule at the beginning of the year, you cannot play. You cannot play BYU. You cannot play Colorado State and Hawaii and load up and think you did something. You can't do that. You just can't because the other Big Ten games consistently don't give you enough to catch up. They just don't.
But I also brought this into to Tony. Penn State. Everybody keeps saying Penn State's a fraud when they're not. They only got 2 losses. This is against Ohio State and Michigan, the number 2 and 3 team in the country. So why are we not talking about Penn State?
Because of how they lost to Ohio State.
They were actually up. They were actually up in the fourth quarter by 5.
And they got beat
And they
by
got
double
blown
digits
out.
by both
They got
teams.
blown out in the end at home. No, they're out. Awful quarterback. He's awful. He's awful.
Okay.
Don't nobody want to watch Sean Clifford in no playoff game. I don't want to watch that.
I was just trying to put it in perspective.
Ohio State. Stop him. Ohio State. TCU, maybe. USC.
In Georgia.
And Georgia.
Yep. Unless anything funky happens.
If TCU goes out, then you may get an Alabama or someone like that may sneak in. But that's where they would want it.
I think TCU gonna drop one, so I think it's gonna be Ohio State, Georgia. I think LSU is gonna beat Georgia, so I think it's gonna be LSU. I think you're gonna have two SEC teams, and you're gonna have USC.
I just don't see how LSU can beat Georgia. They're gonna swarm them, man. They're gonna swarm them in Atlanta.
I didn't think they could beat. I didn't think they could beat Alabama.
Well, don't forget that game was at Tiger Stadium at night. This game's in Atlanta.
This game is an hour from.
It's totally different, man.
Totally different coming
LSU
in.
was a whole different animal at night at home. That's a different team at night at home.
That's it is.
Hold on. I'm glad y'all just said that. This is a good segue for me. So you feel that Georgia's going to have like a home field advantage, and that matters in college football, right?
It does.
Okay, remember when Ohio State played LSU at the dome at New Orleans Stadium, and they had way more fans in the house? That's why I think that the bowl game shouldn't be like that. I don't think bowl games should be like that because Ohio State.
You can't help that. Here's the biggest disadvantage in history. USC played in the Rose Bowl against Texas for the national championship.
And Texas beat them. Yeah.
And Texas beat them.
I mean,
now, I can come. Miami won a bunch of championships in the Orange Bowl. It just so happened that those bowl games were that year, and it was there. LSU won 2 championships, but they lost their most important championship at home to Alabama one year.
And they didn't even score.
And they didn't even score. So it's about 50-50.
I'm a homer. I was just messing with y'all because Ohio State lost.
Yeah, they got a good team, though, man. They got a really good team.
Nebraska, 40 years later, still crying about that game. That Orange Bowl played anywhere else. Nebraska beat that Miami team by 3 touchdowns. But it was played in the Orange Bowl, the first time ever for Miami playing in the national championship. And it was just stacked against, to me, the greatest college football team ever. Next to the only one Miami team was the 83-84 Cornhuskers. Pull them up. Pull up what they used to do.
I like the 95 team better than that one.
No. That 83-84 team was unreal, dude.
The 83, Mike Rozier?
Yes, indeed.
They not better than Tommy Frazier. They're not better than the black shirts. They're not better than the black shirts.
Yeah, dude.
They're not better than the black shirts.
Dude, they were beating people 73-0, 60-something. They were beating the shit out of people.
The 95 team had Lawrence Phillips and Ahman Green, didn't they?
Yeah, and they had Tommy Frazier.
And they had Grant Wistrom.
On deep, yeah. They had what's my guy at safety play for the Rams? I can't remember.
I can't remember his name.
He didn't come up, but he played for the Rams. That team and the only other team I would probably take over both of those teams is the 2001 Miami Hurricanes.
Oh, the 01 Hurricanes is the greatest team ever. Without question. That 01 Hurricanes team had 47 players make the pros. There's no team in the history of this damn college football better than that team. Okay.
I got one more.
Cut that shit.
I got one more. This gonna make Dev happy. That 1993 Alabama team. That team had dogs.
92.
92. I'm sorry, 92. When they had
Yeah.
Copeland, they had Copeland. They had Langholm. They
Langham
was
T.
what's my other guy on the line? What's my guy on the line? He went to the Tampa Bay.
Oh, you talking about damn it.
McCants.
McCants.
Keith
McCants.
McCants. They had my boy running back David Palmer.
They were loaded.
Running back, they had Saran Stacy, and they had what's the other one that played for the Cowboys for a minute?
Yes.
Derek Lassiter.
Derek,
Yes.
yep, that's who it was.
Give me
Yep.
my money.
Yep.
They was loaded,
Yes.
bruh. I like that team better than some of y'all other teams y'all had recently, in my opinion.
Yep.
'Cause
I
who was y'all
still
coach?
think the
Gene?
most
Was it Gene Starling?
Gene Starling, yeah. Yep. Gene
That
Starling.
That defense was flying around, man.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Good job, Curdy.
Hey, but fellas, I've been sitting in the car for 45 minutes.
Hey, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys, man. I
Same
hope
to
it
you,
was
man.
a good one. Y'all
Yes,
see
indeed.
we were frying turkey.
Oh yeah.
So let me recap real quick. Buffalo won a close game against a feisty Detroit Lion team.
Who gave the game
Cowboys
away? Yeah. Who gave it
gave
away?
The Cowboys won a hard-fought division game against a team. If they had a quarterback, Dallas would have probably lost or been in more trouble. Minnesota's up right now on New England.
Just missed the extra point. 16-13.
But
Yep.
guys, we got the World Cup tomorrow at 1 o'clock. USA play England. We have all football. We got Ole Miss right now in the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State. If you don't know the Egg Bowl, the battle of Mississippi, Mississippi State, Ole Miss is up on Mississippi State 16-14, halfway through the third quarter. Hey, this is a big weekend for sports. We will see you on Monday night.
I'll be there.
Try to recap everything that's going on and talk about my Dallas Cowboys, America's team. It's America's Day.
Real quick, man. I'm gonna give a major salute to both you guys, man, and Dave and Cody. The TD report, man. Y'all been doing so much for me, man. That's what I'm thankful for. Dev, man. Hey, bruh, I'm so glad I met you, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Tony, you already know how I feel about you, man. I'm thankful for that because I got an opportunity. I'm covering Indiana and Purdue. Purdue has the opportunity to go to the Big Ten championship game. If they win and Iowa loses, they get in. But if both teams win, I think Iowa gets in. But I'll be there. But I also want to thank y'all because I will be covering the Big Ten championship game the week after. TD report, man. Y'all been everything, man. The fans been everything, man. I really appreciate y'all, man. That's what I'm thankful for.
We're going to try to get it right, man.
That's dope.
Have fun at that in Indianapolis at that Big Ten. That's my man Jody out in the middle. Make sure you guys catch POV, Dan Mason. He's writing all the good articles on everything. Remember, guys, we're about to have some drama. On December 5th is when the portal opens up. So if you are a recruit, you need to commit this weekend or next weekend to your team, because when that portal opens up, those people are going to be pulling their scholarships back.
It's going to be hot as fish grease.
They don't have time to wait on you.
It's going to be hot as fish grease.
Get it right. They don't have time to wait on you. Get it right. They're going to be pulling their stuff back. So, guys, let's make sure we keep educating these youth out here on all this stuff with recruiting and everything else. I'm going to start talking to you guys as it get later on about NILs and everything that we're doing for the Kennedy Sports Group in NIL and our movement and everything else that we're doing. So we got a lot of things moving, baby. Hey, what we call is Black Excellence. Black Excellence. We got a lot of things going on, moving. So let's get this straight. Because if we say Black Excellence, that doesn't knock any other group, Hispanics or whites or anything else. We say that because we weren't always considered as excellent. So, folks, when we say black something, don't take it as a knock to your group or your race. Take it as a compliment because we're trying to get up to where everyone else is. Okay? So understand where we're coming from with that. All right? Everybody get a little too sensitive about their feelings right now. We bring it to you real here. Because guess what? We ain't got no bosses telling us. We can click on this thing and say what the hell we want to say.
Right.
Right.
Okay? That's how we
So
gonna
right.
always keep it. TD Report is always gonna be raw. And have a
And
happy holiday. It's Thanksgiving.
That's
Go
right.
chill with your family. You see my fried turkey. I'm gonna be eating all weekend.
I'm
Holler at me Monday. See y'all fellas.
all right, man.
All
See
right, man.
y'all.
Y'all be good.
All
Later,
right.
Be
fellas.
safe.
Later.
All right, man.